Hi and welcome to the second part of the Storm Lady coloring. First of all, huge thank you to everyone who suggested idea of mixing rain and storm and to everyone who left so many supportive comments under the first part. So I will try to combine both rain and snow. I decided to start this part from coloring skin, and for the darkest shadows I decided to use dark indigo. Of course, I could use very similar color, ink blue, from Derwent drawing pencils which I already used for the hair and a little bit for the stones, but you know that Derwent drawing are much more creamy comparing to polychromos, and as I am not very confident in my shading skills and in coloring blue skin especially, I decided that with polychromos it will be easier for me to correct my mistakes on top of the layer of polychromos. Even on top of such dark color as dark indigo, I will be able to apply creamy Derwent drawing, some lighter color if I want to correct something. And if I start to color skin from such soft and creamy pencil as ink blue Derwent drawing, it will be more difficult for me to correct if I won't be happy with the skin color. So polychromos dark indigo my first choice in doing gray blue skin. I don't think that style of drawing of Emelie Oberg requires some heavy shading, so I only plan to do shadows behind houses and lighthouse, and also a little bit on the sides of the face, under the chin, on the neck, around the nose, and perhaps around the eyes. Next, slightly later gray-blue color I decided to use from Darren Drawing set, and it's smoke blue. It's beautiful, slightly bluish gray color, and it really helped me to slightly lighten my dark indigo and to make nice transition between shadow and more highlighted areas on the skin. After I tested these couple of pencils on the neck and I tried to mix them with even more lighter and bluish pencils from Prismacolor and Polychromos set, I finally felt that I was ready to color face. On the step when I applied darkest shading on the face and started to apply mid-tone, I wasn't totally happy how my Storm Lady looked. She looked not like Storm Lady, but more like a corpse. So I definitely wanted to make her more attractive. So I decided to add some color, some blush to her cheeks, and I decided to use Mars Violet, the same color which I already used for the stones and for the hair. With blush on her cheeks and with some color on her lips, my girl finally started to look not like a dead person, but more like a storm lady. To make her skin tone more attractive, I also added a little bit of Polychromos Sky Blue, very attractive, one of my favorite blue colors in Polychromos set. And in the end, when I needed to mix and to smooth everything, I decided to use white Prismacolor. You know that it's also very creamy and it's perfect to do final blending for light colors. And also you can use one of the pale blue Prismacolors, any color like sky blue, like powder blue. They all also will be very helpful to do this final layering and burnishing to get smooth blue skin tone. Unfortunately, on camera, skin tone of the Storm Lady looks more like grayish one, but in real life it's closer to the blue. So in the end, after I finished to apply all colors and to do shading, I was really happy. The most dreadful part was finished. Now I decided to add some decorations and to draw some snowflakes. I don't know, maybe she's blowing out snowflakes or simply her hair are surrounded by snowflakes and then they melt into snow, but I decided that closer to her face I will be drawing snowflakes, and in the middle part closer to the small village I will outline all those raindrops which are already depicted on the picture. If you follow my channel, you may remember that couple of months ago I recorded a video about my new favorite white marker, and it was not Posca pen but a white acrylic Molotov marker. It's brighter and more opaque comparing to Posca, but for this picture I didn't want such aggressive white color, especially when I needed a white marker to outline face and nose of my Storm Lady. Posca is slightly more transparent comparing to acrylic marker, and also as an underpaint I have water-soluble mediums like watercolors or like graphitins, so when I apply white Posca, white color of Posca absorbs some blue pigment, and that's exactly what I wanted, to get slightly bluish white color. I was afraid that bright blue acrylic color will be too prominent, especially closer to the face. So, as I don't have any pale blue marker, I decided to use more transparent Posca, and in the end I was quite happy. After pigment dried, it really became slightly bluish, and I was very happy with the color of the snowflakes and color of the raindrops. I already mentioned that I will try to limit my color palette as much as possible. So when I thought about color for the sweater or for the dress of the Storm Lady, I decided that Mars Violet could be a perfect color choice. It's quite attractive, very suitable for the Storm Lady, and it will look nice in the central part. We have a little bit of this color in the upper part of the picture, I used it for blush on her cheeks. Also, we have the same Mars violet in the lower part because I colored bases of stones with Mars violet, so it will be very well balanced to use it also in the central part. But of course, I had to add some shading from trees, from houses, and from Lighthouse. And again, I decided to mix my Mars violet with Derwent drawing in blue. I already tested that together they create beautiful deep violet color, something like this. Anyway, nice, beautiful color, very suitable for the shading. So behind lighthouse and trees and houses, I applied a little bit of ink blue and then covered it again with Mars violet. I decided to make this cozy little village and lighthouse the focal points of the whole composition. I wanted to color them really bright, especially comparing to the muted dull colors which I used for the sea, for the background, and for the storm lady. And you know that Prismacolors can provide the brightest colors comparing to other brands, and also that they provide this slightly waxy shining, which also will be a very nice contrast comparing to the matte coverage of the background which I covered with watercolors. So Prismacolor is my choice for the houses and for the lighthouse. I wanted to use combination of warm colors, so I combined sand, sienna brown, dark brown, and then added a little bit of bright yellow to indicate light inside of houses, and a little bit of slightly more reddish brown for a couple of the roofs to make colors more interesting. I had one of my polychromos sanguine on my table, so I grabbed this one, but you can use maybe pumpkin orange apart from those colors which I indicated for houses. So our main purpose is to color houses with really nice, warm, very attractive wooden colors. As for the shading, of course, we need to darken all areas where one house partly covers that house which is behind. So it's quite easy, and also of course the tree which is on the forefront also will be casting shadows on the houses behind, but as I said, I don't think that This style of drawing requires very heavy shading, so I simply added some dark brown and for the darkest areas a little bit of polychromos black. I was very content that houses and my cozy village immediately became the brightest and the most prominent part of the whole picture. Now I need to finish coloring stones, but I definitely don't want them to be as bright as the village, so I need some very calm, very muted colors. And the best choice for such cases is Darwin drawing set, of course, where I selected couple of colors. First will be wheat. It's slightly yellowish, so I will be using it on the tops of the stones because they could be highlighted by the light which is coming from houses. So I wanted to put a little bit of yellow to the upper part of the ground of the stones. And for the middle part I again will be mixing a little bit of Mars violet and also a very natural warm grey color. Everything from Derwent drawing set, which is very helpful if you need natural and calm colors on your picture. we're almost finished, and first, when I thought about colors for the lighthouse, I planned to color it in the same colors which I used for the village houses, but then I decided that it will be the brightest and the most important part of the whole picture, so I needed really bright colors. And of course, the first choice in such cases is red. So I took one of my favorite Prismacolor reds, it's crimson red. I left some uncolored area along the whole left side of the lantern, and I will maintain this highlighted area later after I will add some shading on the white stripes also, so it will be going along the left side and along the right side of the lighthouse will be shadow. Near the end of this coloring process, I already had so many pencils on my table, so I practically could use any one of them for shading on the red stripes. Here I used Ruby Airs from Derwent Drawing Set. It's something between dark red and brown, but you can also use Prisma Tuscan Red or black raspberry, or simply you can add shading along the right side of the lighthouse using dark indigo. Now I need to apply some shading on the white stripes, and of course I will be using some cool gray color for this, and to draw some small details to finish my lighthouse. And now the final touch for the whole picture. I wanted to draw rays of light from the lighthouse, so grab your softest, creamiest, and whitest pencil. You can use Derwent Drawing White, you can use Prismacolor White, or you can use a Neocolor II white crayon. All these pencils will provide you with nice white color, especially because on the underpaint we have watercolors, and all these pencils behave really well on top of watercolors. So I indicated for myself those rays of lights, and I slightly covered with white pigment area between them. I don't want them to be very bright, very prominent, so they have very soft shapes, and they only lightly put some highlights on the upper part of the house, on the neck of my storm lady. In the beginning, I also thought about using for the rays of light acrylic paint or gouache paint, white but diluted with water. Of course, white paints would provide me with brighter and more opaque white color, but then I decided against it. I wanted rays of light to be less bright and um, softer, so it was enough for me, this brightness which I was able to get using only colored pencils. I greatly enjoyed coloring process, mixing different art supplies, combining different mediums, and I am quite satisfied with the final result. I don't know why, but coloring in this book by Emelie Oberg is very often is quite successful for me. I hope that my video would inspire you to combine your mediums to experiment more, and that less mediums will be abandoned in your coloring stash. So experiment and use mixed media. Mixed media usually provides more interesting results in coloring books.